Hello everybody, it is Shelly from AB Family Graphics. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made a tumbler that I made for 4th of July. It was inspired by the movie Joe Dirt, and it was a quote that I put on it for the movie. You know, the scene where Joe Dirt goes to a fireworks stand and he talks about all the different fireworks that the fireworks stand owner doesn't have. That's the quote that I put on it. I did not film me spray painting the cup, but you know the deal. Go outside in a well-ventilated area, get some gloves on, spray paint your tumbler whatever color you choose. I chose white. Here I am epoxying the tumbler, getting a nice thick layer of epoxy on. It protects the spray paint. You don't want the spray paint to chip or scratch. This way I can do anything I can want on the tumbler, decal and glittering, and have a whole layer covered underneath the paint. Here I am glittering the tumbler. I'm a very messy glitterer. I don't know what I'm doing half the time when I glitter. I just throw it on there. There's no precise. Just make sure all the glitter is on the cup. You shake it, you glitter it, and dust it off a little bit. Glitter and dust it off. My husband's in the background taking out garbage. I apologize. His name is Mike. You just want to make sure the glitter is perfectly even and it's all sparkly all around. Now, I like to make sure my cups are very sparkly, so I will do a first layer, dump the whole glitter out on the container, then I put my tumbler back on the turner, and then I open up the cap to the glitter, and we just kind of funnel all of that glitter off that paper back into the glitter jar, shake it back off. Here's my husband. I cut a part of it out a little bit for you to save time, but here he is. I'm talking about the glitter with him, and he's like, I'm sorry I messed up your video. I was like, no, you're not messing it up, so here I am putting the lid back on, and here we are glittering again, going through this tumbler a second time. We're going to do a second pass with the glitter, make sure it's all stuck on there. Don't forget I call it the butt of your tumbler, which is the bottom. Don't forget the butt. Here I am just touching up, making sure all the glitter's stuck. There was kind of, I think, a little clumpy part that I was trying to flatten out. Make sure that's all nice and flat. And make sure the butt's got all the glitters. Can't forget the butt. Here I am. I'm putting it back on the turner, and that's what it looks like turning. You're going to let that dry for 12 to 24 hours, and then you're going to put your next layer of epoxy on. Because you can't put any decals, vinyl, water slides without having a shiny glass surface. So here I am mixing epoxy. If you're a crafter or tumbler maker, you know the epoxy is equal parts. You mix equal parts A and B. So if you're mixing 5 milliliters of a part A, you're going to mix 5 milliliters of part B, and that's going to make a total of 10 milliliters. And then you're going to mix it up with a popsicle stick. I buy these little cups from Amazon. They're these little plastic cups that have the measurements, as you see on the sides. That helps you make sure it's equal parts. I've had it happen before. If you don't mix equal parts of A and B, weird things tend to happen. Sometimes when you put it on your cup and it's not fully mixed properly, not mixed enough, and doesn't have equal parts, you're going to get a wet, sticky cup. Trust me, it's a pain. You either have to scrap the whole tumbler or you have to sand till your heart is content. Sand an entire layer of wet epoxy off your tumbler because it will seep through other layers. So you need to make sure your tumblers feel fully cured in between each layer. Like onions, like the movie Shrek. So as you see, you have to mix and mix. You got to constantly mix. You want to make sure parts A and B are equal and mixed together. Try not to mix it too fast. It creates a bunch of micro bubbles. But in the event that you do get a lot of micro bubbles, you can use heat on the tumbler very quickly, like some people use a heat gun or one of those torch thingy-mabobbers, or you can lightly spray out of a spray bottle rubbing alcohol and it pops all the micro bubbles on the tumbler. But you don't want to use too much because then it causes a weird reaction on the cup. So much information in 10 minutes. I apologize. Here I am rubbing the epoxy all over the cup. You want to make sure it's a nice even coat. It's a glitter that I'm, encasing. So you want it thick enough to where it will cover the glitter and there's no glitter poking out. Fine glitter is easier to cover than chunky glitter. Chunky glitter is beautiful, but it's a pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie. It takes several layers sometimes and a lot of sanding work to encase chunky glitter on a cup. But fine glitter, usually one layer and it's good to go. So here I am with my finger, just trying to make sure that the epoxy is all flat and even all over the cup. We're just rubbing the crap out of it, making sure there's no chunks of epoxy that's gooped on in one section. If you're wondering what that machine is, why do I put the cup on this? Why is it turning? Because the epoxy is wet, so it's going to need a constant rotation to keep the epoxy level on the cup. If you were to put epoxy on a cup and, just sit it on that and not have the pole turning, it would fall off the cup. Gravity, my friends. And it would drip off the cup. Or it would get a bubble. Or like I used to say, it looked like a boob. Sometimes my epoxy would have a bubble if the turner stopped in the middle of the night. It's very terrifying when that happens. Or a storm. You get a storm and your power goes out and your cups are on the turner. That sucks. So here it is. That is what the cup looks like after I've put its layer of epoxy on, and it's going to dry. I also missed a section where I put glitter in the epoxy. I was showing you guys that I put glitter in the epoxy, but I was not looking. I looked away when I was filming it. I apologize. Here I am putting red, white, and blue stars on the tumbler, and here I am just cleaning it up. I had to try to put it, because I'm only putting it on half the tumbler, so I did a lot of finessing and moving of the stars to make it try to be, I guess, as evenly as possible. And that's what it looks like. It's as close to a straight line as it possibly could get. And then the other side's going to be plain white because that's where I'm going to put the decal in. Very patriotic. How many times did I film it spinning? But anyway, when I was putting the layer of epoxy on, I did add, because I wanted it very sparkly, I did add a little bit of glitter to the epoxy, which makes it extra sparkly. That's what I was pouring in the epoxy. This is why I don't do voiceovers and look away from my phone and stare at the dog. I forgot. I missed a step. Now, I decided to add a little razzle-dazzle and add blue and silver stripes down the side to kind of hide the imperfection of the red, white, and blue stars that went down it, to give it more of a cleaner edge. So that is that. And then I put another layer of epoxy on you because you want to encase the stickers. It's washi tape. And you want to make sure there's a layer of epoxy so the washi tape doesn't fall off the tumbler. So I did not film that part, but yes, I put the washi tape and epoxy. As you see, my washi tape, my blue one, the blue washi tape is hung over the cup. I did trim that down. I have sprayed my decals with acrylic clear spray outside, let them dry. I sprayed them 3 times, and here I am cutting the decals up on my little decal tray. My craft room is a mess. It normally does not look like this. I also am homeschooling, and I'm going back to high school to get my GED as well. So here I am decaling the tumbler, putting the quotes, trying to size it, cut it down, get it nice and even on the cup with the 4th of July fireworks. Sometimes if it's a big decal with a lot of words, it takes a lot. You got to get all the water and wrinkles out of the decal. Here I am getting ready to put the last layer of epoxy on it. Here I am epoxying the cup. I put it on fast mode apparently. I didn't know what I was doing. I was slow mode in the beginning. Now we're fast mode. I'm also making coasters. With my extra epoxy, coasters and shot glasses, I always use the extra epoxy, and I give them out as gifts to my customers. And usually I like it to match the cup. Here is what the cup looks like with its final layer of epoxy on it. It looks gorgeous. Now, I don't particularly like the fireworks on the back where the glitter is. I think it's too busy, but my husband said it was added, it adds an extra razzle-dazzle because it's Joe Dirt, and, Joe Dirt can be a little razzle-dazzle trashy. The whole premise of that movie is like white trailer trash type of movie in the best possible way. Not making fun of him, but that's what his character is supposed to really emulate, So my husband thought it'd be a good idea to make it extra funky. And it looks gaudy on the back, but I love it. But I'm going to have my customers choose if they want that or not on the back. And here it is, done. Maybe I should have filmed it the other way, but you get the idea, ladies and gentlemen. That is what it looks like, fully cured and ready to go. I'm going to keep this one, and I will put pictures of it on my website, and then customers can buy this tumbler. I hope everyone enjoyed my video. Stay tuned for more. See you later, guys.